Good afternoon, everybody. Welcome to another edition of Complete Sports Media's podcast. I'm your host, Darren Campbell, and joining me here on a holiday Monday, Jason Cameron. Going to break down a nice long weekend of sports. I kind of forgot up until like a couple days ago that it was a long weekend. When you're not working, it doesn't really make a difference. I guess you would have realized it a lot earlier than I did, but kind of nice that we've had this extra day for everyone. And started off well for me. Got to watch the Canada Finland game first thing this morning. And yeah, it's been an awesome weekend of sports. Lots of fun things going on. How was your weekend?
First off, you're absolutely right. I should have known it was the long weekend. The only reason I did know it was the long weekend is because my coworker reminded me on Friday before we left each other. He goes, "By the way, have a great long weekend." I go, "What are you talking about, long weekend? What are you talking about?" He's like,
You didn't know until that. Whoa, lucky he said that.
I would have went to work today. Bar none. I would have went to work and would have been like, where is everybody? What's happening?
That would have been shocking. Oh, man.
Yeah. So luckily he told me. So that's why my long weekend was actually good. Because Friday, I went and saw a friend of mine because his lovely daughter, she requested something of me, like she wanted shows or something like that. So I had to try to figure out how to do that for her.
Cool.
Did that for her.
Nice.
But here's the deal with them. I'll do this for you, but I have to go and I have to drop off said media stuff, right? For them.
Okay.
That means they have to feed me.
Nice. Oh, awesome. Extra big bonus for you.
Yes. And so my buddy actually, he goes, "I got Chinese food," and then he starts putting it out. And I'm like, "It looks like you just got enough. Good.
That's right. We ordered extra because we knew you were coming.
Exactly right.
Yeah.
So that was awesome. It was great to see him. Great to see like his family and stuff. And then we watched this movie. It was an Apple TV exclusive called The Gorge. I don't know if you ever heard. Yeah.
I've seen the ads. It looks kind of cool. I've seen the ads, but I haven't seen the show yet.
It was cool. Good show.
Nice.
Good show. Well worth it, man. Like it's like that's one of those shows where you're watching and you're like, okay, I really want to know what's going on here. So what is going on? And so it kind of drags you in that way.
Nice.
So we watched that show. It's an awesome show. And then he hooked me onto another show because it's like, okay, we'll watch something else. There's another Apple TV exclusive TV show called Severance.
Right.
Oh, dude. I'm watching this show and I'm like, I got no idea what's going on, but I want to watch more.
Cool.
Then that's it. That's the way I went away from that show. It was like, I have no idea what's happening, but I definitely want to watch more of this show. So that's something I'm definitely going to do.
Yeah, I'm glad you mentioned Severance. Yeah, I've been talking to Lorraine and saying we should watch it. The first season actually got a lot of high praise, but we never got to ever watch it. They had a 3-year gap between season 1 and season 2, and season 2 just dropped recently, and it's been getting a ton of hype. Lots of guys showing up on talk shows. They did an actually pretty wild stunt for it. They brought in an office, cubicles, and they glassed it off, and the main actors sat in there in the middle of Union Station in New York and pretended to work at their office desk for about 3 hours while people gathered around in the mall or in the station and just watched them work and stuff. So that was pretty wild. And Ben Stiller is the director. And, so he's been promoting it a ton. And I hear really good things about it. It's just dropped the second season. So we plan to check it out. We're into a few other shows recently, but the one show that we just finished watching on the weekend was Beast Games. Have you watched any of it?
Nope, haven't even heard of it. What's it about? I don't know.
Well, you know Mr. Beast, right? You're familiar with Mr. Beast?
Yes.
Yeah. So he created a TV show that's in the same vein as Squid Games. But they don't murder the people. You don't die.
Okay, good.
Yeah. Good. So what it was they invited 1,000 people. They built a little city in Ontario somewhere, and they invited 1,000 people, and they did games to eliminate them time after time. And the winner, the person that lasts right till the end, gets $5 million. And it's pretty damn great. I really actually really enjoyed it. There's ways of knocking people out, kind of cutthroat, lots of cool competitions they have. There's ways of making money that's outside that 5 million bucks. There's people that do make money throughout the game on little competitions and stuff, and he's always trying to bribe people. If you take this money and go home right now, you're out, but you at least keep this money. There's like cars like Lamborghinis and Ferraris and stuff, and he's like, okay, I'll give you this brand new Lamborghini if you just step out and leave right now. And yeah, I think it's 10 episodes, and there was about 4 or 5 dropped right away, and then they had about a week, where they dropped the next ones, but it just finished this weekend, and we saw it, and I really recommend it. It was pretty cool. I really enjoyed it. They said they set I think they said like 58 world records on the most amount of money that they gave away, and the most amount of money that ever for a game show, and lots of crap like that. It was pretty wild.
You know what? The one thing I definitely respect about Mr. Beast is the fact that he puts his money where his mouth is.
Yeah.
And the fact that the one thing that I've always thought about, like game shows like that, they never give out enough money. I'm sorry. In this day and age,
No.
like life-changing money isn't what you thought it was anymore.
Yeah.
It's what it is for he's giving away right now.
Yeah.
$5 is life-changing. Because $5 million here in the Vancouver property market will buy you a house.
Exactly. Yeah.
Okay.
That's about it. Yeah. At least
like,
you get a house. Yeah.
You get a house.
Yeah.
And it's fully paid off.
All right.
That's life changing.
Yeah.
But the fact is, it's got to be 5 million, or else guess what? I can't buy a house here.
You got to go somewhere else. Yeah. Move somewhere else. Yeah. 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 The other thing about Mr. Beast is he actually showed up during the NBA All-Star game yesterday, and he had a competition set up. They wheeled out a glass case filled with $100,000, all in looked like $1 bills, all just crumpled up. And they brought out Damian Lillard and a kid out of the audience, and they said, we're going to do half court shots. And if Damian Lillard hits 3 before you hit 1, you get nothing. If you can hit a half court shot before he hits 3 half court shots, you get the $100,000. And he won. He actually won.
He won?
Yeah. Damian hit 2 out of the 3, but this guy ended up hitting one with like the clock was running down. This was his last chance, and he actually hit the $100,000, and he got mobbed by NBA players and mascots, and they tossed him into the cubicle thing with all the money, and it was awesome. And Lillard hit some beautiful 3-pointers, but he only hit 2 of maybe around 5 or 6 or something. And this guy finally hit his last shot and got the 100,000. And Mr. Beast was right there to hand him the money and congratulate him. And it was pretty neat. It was really cool.
You know what? I love it. I love it. I love the fact that the NBA said we need something else to jazz it up.
Yeah.
Why don't we get that guy that's a billionaire that doesn't mind giving away money so that we don't have to give away money?
Right.
And then we'll get him to do it.
That's true. Yeah. Yeah, this kid was, he looked pretty nerdy. He was young. I think he was like maybe 14, high school, maybe just in college. He talked about, they said, what are you going to spend the money on? And he's like, oh, college, I guess, and maybe give a bit to my family. And he was just a nerdy kid. And, his shots were actually pretty good. They were all just falling a little bit to the right, short, a little bit off. And then he lined it up and nailed it. And, it was really cool. I think it was LeBron and Steph that were hugging him at half court, and then all the mascots and all the rest of the players came flying in there. Yeah, it was pretty wild. It was a fun part of that All-Star game.
Well, you know what? That's the magic of the All-Star game. That's actually what it should be giving back to the fans.
Yeah.
Because the All-Star game for me, or the All-Star weekend, is an ode to the fans. It's to show that we appreciate you. Thank you for the amazing support. This is for you.
Yeah, totally.
Now with that being said, I wish the All-Star game that they play actually had that same point of emphasis, saying, this is for you. That's why we care.
That's why we're trying hard. Yeah.
And that hasn't happened in years.
Yeah.
So
yeah. I can't wait to break down that whole weekend with you in a few minutes. Yeah. It's disappointing. All-Star games are really disappointing now for, true fans like you and I and people that have followed the sport and loved it. When there's no defense, when there's no physicality, football's horrible now as an all-star game. NHL horrible, basketball the same. It's just, it's too bad. It is for the kids and the families and the corporate sponsors and stuff like that. But I hope they can do away with it. If they can't get it competitive, there's no need, because it really doesn't reflect well on the product, because the regular season and playoff product in sports is amazing, but when you look at that, if you just watch that game, you'd think, I really don't really think I care for that sport.
There's no competitive spirit.
No.
That's what it is. That's what it lacks at the end of the day. It's that competitive spirit.
Yeah.
And if there's none of that, I'm sorry to say this. Like, how about this? I don't want to have my kid learn that.
No, not at all. No.
Like that is not something I want my kid to glam onto and say, oh, so that's the way that I'm supposed to approach the sport, by not caring at all. No.
Yeah. Man. If he takes it to his school or to the, community on his team, he'll be ripped by his coach and his teammates, and he'll look like an idiot. So it's a bad reflection on the sport, I think. And it's time to do away with them fully if they can't make them competitive, for sure. So absolutely. The other big television thing that most people were anticipating here in North America this weekend was the 50th anniversary of Saturday Night Live. They did their show there last night. It was a 3-hour telecast, and it was amazing to see so many cast members from the last 50 years, so many skits, so many musical performances, so many great moments, and so many of the comedians of our generations, the last 4 or 5 generations that got their start there. It's incredible. That show has changed people's lives and started so many careers. It was cool to see that it's been going 50 years, which is incredible, and to be able to celebrate it, have a really big black tie gala affair. I couldn't believe all the stars that were in the crowd and all the people that showed up to do skits and stuff. It was awesome. Did you get a chance to see any of it? See any highlights? Did you watch it at all?
I completely missed that. I saw something about it, and I was just like, I don't know what that is. And then I just kept flipping. Now let me ask you questions. Like, so did we have like guys like Andy Samberg, Adam Sandler, like Eddie Murphy, like all those kind of guys were there?
Yeah.
Nice.
All of them. Yeah. I don't think you could name many that weren't there. It just seemed like, they put the invitations out to, everybody, and everybody seemed to accept. And it was, it was really cool. Really cool. Brought back a ton of memories. Had a lot of laughs. Really wild to see all the, all the guests they've had, all the hosts, all the musical people. Incredible. I spent a lot of years where I didn't watch it because I was out on Saturday night doing something, and just wasn't around. But it definitely harkens back to my childhood watching it a ton, and then over the years recording it, watching it later. Especially I mentioned it a few weeks ago when Dave Chappelle came out. A lot of big moments in the U.S. Immediately they do a telecast about it, and the host will talk about it. They'll do skits about it. Obviously the political situation in the U.S. They always spoof Donald Trump and a lot of the characters that surround it, and it's just been a reflection on the U.S., the city of New York, the comedy scene, for the past 50 years. So cool that they recognized it with such a great tribute and a big 50th anniversary. I think it was about a week ago. They did a whole 3 hour show on all the musical guests, and try to find that, man. That was amazing. Very, very, very impressive and cool. If you can find that, stream it, somehow watch it. That was incredible as well.
Of course, because they've had so many great musical guests that have come onto the show, especially over the last 50 years. So definitely I will try to find that at some point in time and watch that. Sure.
Here locally in Vancouver, we just had the closing ceremonies of the Invictus games yesterday. We had Jelly Roll, the Bare Naked Ladies, and some other artists finished off the closing ceremonies and the concert that they put on with it. Really happy to see that they brought the Invictus games here to Vancouver. I got to attend some of the events, and it was awesome, super inspiring. Amazing what a lot of these veterans and people included have gone through in their lives. Most of them talked about going through very, very dark times after their injuries and after the things that got them out of the military. A lot of them have lost limbs. A lot of them have been injured in wars around the world. Incredibly inspiring stories to watch and to listen to and to see them competing. I think Vancouver did a great job hosting it, and from all accounts, everybody was really, really happy with how it turned out. It will be in 2027 in Birmingham, England. Yeah, great to see them finally come here, host the game, stage it here. Yeah, like I said, by all accounts, people loved it.
Yeah, and as they should, and also too, you know what, the stories are inspiring.
Yeah.
Because whatever you think you're going through in your life, they have it a little bit harder than you do. Yeah. Like, especially if they've served their country, they've served it well, and they served it up to the point where they had to give up a limb or two.
Yeah.
So whatever you're going through, it's like, if you look at that and say, if that guy can keep pushing and even compete, and whatever I'm going through right now, I think I can have the wherewithal to figure my stuff out and push through, just like that man or that woman has pushed through.
Yeah, I think people can be definitely very inspired by them, and if they're able to see it like that and think, yeah, like, wow, they've went through some pretty devastating moments. But I heard Prince Harry say that he has lost count on how many people came up to him as Invictus athletes and say, these games saved my life. And he said, they didn't save your life. You saved your life. You just needed some inspiration. And I was, I myself and the people that organized this are just happy that we could provide that inspiration, because now you're inspiring thousands, if not millions of people around the world.
Absolutely, right? Like, and then that's the word that you want to spread. Yeah. That's the hope and the message that you want to spread to everybody else.
Yeah. Yeah, no, it was great. I really enjoyed it. I'm super happy it came here locally. I'm glad that we got a chance to go and see some of the games, and I hope it comes back one day. I plan to watch it every year because there was a ton of moments for me. They did a really good job on TSN. They did a wrap up every day of the competitions. Jody Vance was one of the main hosts, and she's been a local media celebrity here for years, and she did a fantastic job. She brought in so many athletes to talk to, get their life backstories, showed a ton of inspiration. She's an amazing media personality, and I think she really went into the core of the reason behind these games and the reason why a lot of these athletes wanted to compete. I just couldn't believe it. Just seeing these people just seemed like they were at such a low at some point, but they just seemed to be at the highest high, just loving the competition. They were so much sportsmanship, camaraderie. I couldn't believe how many athletes I saw high-fiving all the kids and all the people that were there to support. It was amazing. Yeah, I feel very, very lucky that I got to see it live, and I got to watch a ton of it on TV as well.
Yeah, man. Again, it's just the inspiration,
Yeah.
and then the message is clear,
Yeah.
which is like, you know, like you just sometimes you'll go through bad stuff in life, but don't give up on yourself. Keep
Yeah.
pushing.
Okay. Tell me where you were on Saturday night at 5 p.m. Where were you?
This Saturday, right?
This last Saturday here, yeah.
Oh yeah, okay. So I was at home watching UFC.
Okay, nice. Good
Yeah.
for you. Okay, that's good. I'm glad. I was watching UFC right till 4:59, and then I turned it. I was recording it so that I could watch it later, and I turned it to Canada US hockey in the Four
Okay.
Nations face-off. And I can't wait to see the numbers. I haven't seen them today yet, but I think likely about 5 million Canadians were watching that game on Saturday night. And did you did you see the highlights? Have you heard about what happened that night? Did you know what went on?
No, I
Oh,
have no idea. Go
okay.
ahead.
So
Tell me.
so I mentioned last week it had been 8.5 years since they had a best on best hockey tournament. Uh, between these countries, U.S., Canada. This is U.S., Canada, Sweden, Finland, but it's been 8.5 years since the last time we had a best on best tournament. When this tournament was announced, and they said it was Canada, U.S. Some games being played in Montreal, the other games being played in Boston. Most North American fans were like, "Oh my God, can't wait to see Canada, U.S. face each other." Became such a massive rivalry. Can't wait. If you're, Scandinavian, they couldn't wait to see Sweden and Finland play each other because they have been, bitter rivals in sports for, their entirety of their history of their countries. So Saturday night, finally, we get to see Canada, U.S. We get to see the Kachuk brothers against McDavid, McKinnon, McCarr. We get to see finally these teams play each other. So the puck gets dropped. 2 seconds later, the gloves get dropped and there's a fight. Boom, 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 boom. They start scrapping. Okay, first Kachuk brother, boom, in the box. His brother's like hyped up. He's going, yeah, you do it. Way to go. He skates by the Canada bench and goes, who's next? Who wants to go? So they drop the puck. 1 second later, drop the gloves again. They're going at it. So both Kachuk brothers are in the box. So then Ryan Miller starts skating around. He's like, who wants me? Who wants me? Come on, come on, come on. So the puck gets dropped. There's there's a bit of a line rush into Canada zone. Miller comes in and starts jabbing everybody. Come on, who's about to take me? Whew, gloves get dropped again. Another fight. Miller's fighting Pareko. 3 fights in 9 seconds of the 3 different face-offs, and the crowd was going ballistic. My phone is blowing up. People are just, holy cow, can you believe what is happening here?
Yeah.
Short time later, Connor McDavid does an amazing rush, ends up scoring a goal, and it was an amazing play, putting Canada up 1-0. Holy cow. Montreal was blowing up, and Canada, I could hear people cheering for miles away, all over the neighborhood, all over the country. It was awesome, man. It was awesome, 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 awesome. I couldn't believe how cool it was to see, finally, to see the spirit, to see the emotion. And there was a lot of people before this tournament even started saying, I don't know if I'm into this. It's probably just going to be like an all-star game. It's going to be kind of meh. These guys, we can never get them together and play with that same competitive spirit like we're talking about in the NBA. Well, this time, man, this was no all-star game. This was full on playing balls to the wall, playing full out for your country. The passion was amazing. And oh man, I'm telling you, one of the greatest games I ever saw. It will go down in history as one of the most incredible moments of international hockey. And Canada ended up losing the game in the end. The U.S. played a phenomenal game. They just played a 4-man system in their zone where Canada couldn't penetrate the middle, weren't able to score another goal. it was 2-1 until late when US ended up scoring a empty netter and were able to get the victory. So that was the second game for both teams in the tournament, and today was game 3. So US was the only team, because they had won their first 2 games, they had made it all the way to the final. Sweden and Finland had a game, had played really well, and Finland ended up beating Sweden. So there was still, the other 3 teams were still alive going into today to see who was going to get that second spot in the final. Canada had to play Finland today, had to beat them in regulation time to make sure that they were making the final. And it was amazing. Great start today. Canada ended up scoring the first goal right away. McDavid again got the opening goal. McKinnon scored. McKinnon got a couple goals today, and Canada was up 4-0, and it looked pretty good. And all of a sudden, Finland scored, and they scored again, and it was 4-3 with like a minute and a half left, and Finland was coming on. Finland actually played better than Canada in the second and third periods, and were really, really, really fighting to make it back. And Sidney Crosby ended up throwing a huge hit right at center ice, turning over the puck. Sam Reinhart, local kid from North Van, West Van, ends up taking the puck and passing it towards Sidney. Sidney turned around and threw it into the empty net, slid it down the ice from center ice, and Canada ended up winning 5-3 in the game. And now we've got a rematch Thursday for the Four Nations face-off. I don't know if there's going to be fights right away, just like Saturday, but the emotion's going to be massive. The rematch is on. Canada, after losing, has that much more incentive, and maybe can figure out how to penetrate the amazing defensive shell that the U.S. went into. But man, I'm excited. Thursday's going to be incredible. It's 5:00 puck drop again, and this means a lot to both nations. It's pretty wild to watch, and yeah, I'm telling you, that game on Saturday is going to just blow this game up. I think we're looking at maybe 10 million Canadians watching on Thursday night.
I think you're absolutely right. I think now that it looks like NHL has figured out how to get these guys to care.
Yeah.
And this is now the format that they'll go forward for, probably for perpetuity.
Yeah.
Because this is way better than any All-Star game could ever be.
Yeah.
Way better.
Oh,
and that's what all the other sports need to figure out, is that.
Yeah, well, the funny thing was, when the NBA decided a couple of seasons ago they would do this mid-season tournament, I thought, oh, that's a smart thing for the NHL to look at. And when they made this announcement, I don't know why, but they seemed to just downplay it. They didn't really get you into it as much. And, I thought, okay, let's hope it's good. And I was pretty impressed with this NBA mid-season, it wasn't a mid-season tournament, kind of early season tournament, whatever you want to call it. But, I thought it had a lot of elements. It wasn't great. It wasn't amazing. It was pretty good. It just seemed to juice up a lot of those games where, the players just kind of go through the motions a little bit. So it just added. I like that they changed the courts, made it you knew that this was a NBA Cup game. I liked that they had them on certain days, so you knew it was a Tuesday, it was a Friday. These were going to be Cup games, and they did some things, and I thought, okay, this is smart for the NHL to try to have a mid-season thing instead of the All-Star game. And the other factor is that there hasn't been a best on best for Canada where it means something for so long. Luckily, February, about a year from now, the Olympics are happening, and Canada balked out of the last couple Olympics because they were overseas. They had some issues with the International Ice Hockey Federation. They were in Korea, and they were like, I don't think we want to go. I don't think it's worth our time. I don't think it's gonna benefit the league at all. I think it's going to be hard for people in North America to get into it because it's going to be in the middle of the night. And, there was a lot of issues about that. When COVID hit, they were like, you know, this is too risky to put our top players out there, you know, in this kind of factor. So that's one of the reasons why it just took so friggin' long to, you know, make this happen. But luckily, Italy, 1 year from now, will be in the Olympics, and it'll probably be even bigger because the Olympics are bigger than almost anything, right? So
Yeah.
it'll be really big. They're going to do this tournament. They said um, they used to have the tournament called the Canada Cup. It ended up changing into World Cup, just like the soccer does. They said they're going to have a World Cup in a couple of years. So that World Cup will replace this Four Nations. We might do Four Nations again in the off years to the
Yeah, yeah.
World Cup and the Olympics. But this was a really good start to it. Really good to get the juice flowing, get people back into it, and make you realize how incredible international hockey is, and playing for the you know the maple leaf or the U.S. flag, or you know the get your nation behind you. It means so much to these guys, and you can just see it. And it's funny because there's teammate against teammate. You know, in
Yeah.
the NHL, I saw players from different teams on, you know, the other four nations, and you know, they're just playing with, you know, total heart for their pride of their country.
Exactly. When you start playing for your flag, then it just means a heck of a lot more.
Yeah.
Regardless if you're going against your buddy who's your teammate on your actual team,
Yeah.
it's just like, you know, it's almost like you're giving them the warning. By the way, since you know we're friends, right? But I'm gonna go straight through your chest when we play against each other.
Yeah.
Just so you know.
Yeah. Um, it was funny enough, on Saturday was actually the 60th. That was the day they were celebrating the 60th anniversary of the Canadian flag, the maple leaf. So that was kind of wild timing. Pretty amazing to do it. I do want to mention Sidney Crosby, oldest player. I think he's the oldest player in the tournament. Definitely the oldest player on Team Canada, and they made him the captain. He had, you know, he scored the golden goal in Vancouver. He had a streak in his NHL, in his international career, of 26 straight games when he put on the Canada jersey. Canada won 26 games in a row when Sidney Crosby had come and played in a tournament. They had won, and Saturday was his broke his streak. But in the first game, he was by far and away the best player Canada had. It was amazing to watch him play. Incredible to see him get the winning, you know, securing insurance goal today. And he's been the best player in the tournament. If Canada wins this gold medal on Thursday, I think he wins MVP. And at 37 years old, it's amazing. And to hear all these players say that, you know, he was my hero growing up, and it's so incredible to watch him. The coaches saying, like, you know, you don't want to meet your heroes quite often because they'll disappoint you. Well, the coaches said, you know, there's a guy that you're like very happy you got to meet, and you got to see actually close up, because this guy is the real deal. And you know, he really is a shining example of how you're supposed to be as a superstar. And you know, I think if Canada wins, yeah, he's the MVP, and you know, probably the greatest international hockey player that ever lived. It's pretty amazing, and it's pretty cool that we get to see him you know, at this level, still at such an advanced age, and with such a long career behind him.
Absolutely, man. Better than advertised.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like when you say he doesn't disappoint, it's like he most certainly doesn't disappoint.
No.
Especially from all these guys that are looking up to him, and be like, okay, so I'm like 10 years younger than him, and he's still the best player on the ice.
Yeah.
Still the best player.
Yeah.
So that's all you need to know for like just for you trying to be at your best.
Yeah.
That's your example. That's your shining example.
They were pointing out he was the last player in the dressing room, because he went out to the press conference and talked to every media member. He was the last player to leave the building the one night that they played Sweden. He was the first player on the ice the next morning, and you know, he's been able to just show what it takes to be that elite and that kind of a star. And his line mate is Nathan McKinnon, and they're both from the same hometown. And McKinnon met him when he was like maybe 4 or 5 years old, and has always looked up to Crosby. And it's incredible that they finally get to play together. And it's been amazing to watch. McKinnon scored 2 goals today. Crosby had 1 goal, 1 assist, and Crosby set up McKinnon with his goals. And it's cool to see that you can meet a guy that's like this when you're that young and aspire to it, and then end up playing on the same line as him and be one of the greatest players in the league yourself too. It's wild that what sports can do and push a kid, that far, and just having that guy that he can look up to.
Having that guy that he can look up to, and then also too seeing that guy, knowing that he still has the same fire as he did when he first came into the league, and still have that professionalism and still have that hunger to be the best. So now, as you go forward in your career, for you to be that guy, consistency of effort has to be there for the entirety of your career, just like it was for Sidney Crosby.
Yeah. I want to make special shout out also to Sam Reinhart. Sam and his 2 brothers were all drafted into the NHL. Sam has had an incredible NHL career. His brother, his father, Paul, was in the NHL for many years, and he spent his last 2 years as a Canuck. And he had a phenomenal year his last year as a Canuck. 17 goals, 40 assists, 57 points in 67 games. But he had a really, really horrible back injury that had plagued him for quite a few years of his career. Had to retire at 30 years old. Decided that he loved Vancouver, wanted to stay here, settled in up in West Van, got the kids into school, into tons of sports. They all played tons of sports, but they excelled at hockey. All 3 of them drafted into the NHL, and Sam ended up to be the best. I think last year he had 50-something goals, and he's a guy that is super talented, elite goal scorer. But today he had 3 assists, was one of the best players on the ice, and it was really cool and inspiring because I seen him play when he was a young kid at tournaments that I've been to. I saw his dad play an amazing role for the Canucks as a defenseman, was one of the best players for the team when he was there, even though he had to cut his career short. It's really neat to see local kids. We've mentioned it on the podcast before, but to see another local kid do so well, be part of Canada, helping the team. And today, man, the guy was one of the best players on the ice, just really, really elite, and really one of the main reasons why we got the victory today.
Yeah, I love that you brought that up, because you know what you remind me of? That I'm old. So thank you again. Thank you. I appreciate that. And it's cool. It's cool to see that these kids that we saw their fathers, and now we get to see the sons in the league too, following in their father's footsteps or bettering them in some respects.
Yeah.
And it's just it's a pleasure. It's a pleasure to see.
It's so cool. It's amazing. There is a game starts in just over an hour from now. It's US Sweden, final game of the round robin, but it's already been established Canada US in the final on Thursday. Sweden will fall short even if they get the victory. US made a couple of announcements today that Matthew Tkachuk will be sitting out. Their goalie Connor Hellebuck will sit down. Jake Ottinger will get the start. I think the U.S. will rest a bit of their guys, try to play a more balanced attack, and not press themselves too badly because they're in for Thursday. Sweden played really, really well. I'm sure they'll put a strong effort tonight, but in a way it's kind of meaningless because it's already been set up that Canada, U.S. finished first, Canada finished second, Sweden can finish third or fourth depending on how it works out today. But I'm still gonna watch the game. It'll be cool to see how it turns out. But Thursday, man, I'm telling everybody that's watching, everybody that's listening, just tune in, just watch it. You'll be so happy you did. There's tons of emotion. I don't think we'll have to worry about the Canadian anthem getting booed like the U.S. anthem was getting booed here because of our political problems that we're having right now. But the patriotism will be massive. There are a lot of Canadians down there. I couldn't believe how many Canadians made the trip. When I saw the game today, there was, practically most of the building was Canadians. I don't know, what the split will be on Thursday, but it's going to be really fun. It's going to be really, really fun.
Well, at least we know this. The split will probably be even, so we're not going to be drowned out. That's for sure.
No. Yeah. It'll be fun, man. I'm excited about it. And thankfully, the other leagues, please show this to, the people that are in charge that make the decisions, and let's scrap all-star games altogether. Let's put things like this in, juice up the fans, and really, get a true representation of the sport when it's being played, with full spirit, not just lackadaisical, like going through the motions. That NFL game last year, I had to puke in my mouth about 4 or 5 times when I was watching it, and they made it a flag football game this year, which is just insane. This NBA All-Star game, we'll talk about it in a sec. It was a little bit better, but still not close to what we want to see.
Okay, you know what? Okay, so I'm gonna talk about it.
Let's talk about it. Yeah, let's talk about it.
Because so they split it up and they made it into 4 different teams, and you had Candace Parker pick a team, Kenny Jet Smith pick a team, Charles Barkley pick a team, Shaq pick a team, right?
Okay, Candace didn't get to pick a team.
Oh no, she took the Rising Stars.
She took one of the Rising Stars. There was a 2-game or a 3-game tournament that had the Rising Stars and the rookies, and whoever emerged out of that became Candace's team.
Yeah. So the one thing that I will say from what I saw was that at least they tried a little harder than they have in the last
bit. There was some defensive play. There was a little bit more. Yeah, a little bit. There was, it wasn't as bad as games we've seen before.
Yeah, like I saw people like actually getting in a defensive stance and sliding feet. Well, I'm like, oh, are they actually going to try to play the game of basketball? This is awesome. This is great.
Yeah.
Now, at the end of the day, they had to institute all these things to create some sort of competitive spirit amongst the players that hasn't been there for like years upon years upon years upon years.
Yeah.
It will only change if the players' mindset changes. If they don't change, it will never get any better.
No.
That's just the end of the story. That's it. That's what it is.
I've heard the rumors that maybe they should do U.S. versus the world, and we saw the Olympics have a lot of juice, have a lot of really, a lot of interest. It created a ton of very competitive games. That gold medal game between the U.S. and France was phenomenal basketball, and it was a lot of fun to watch a ton of that tournament. So I think it's time to try that.
I think it's time to try that too, because like if it's the U.S. versus the world, then the U.S. is kind of like, well, we should easily win this game, right? And then the rest of the world would be like, well, not so much. We're gonna smash. Like I would be super into I want to embarrass them.
Yeah.
I want to not just beat them. I want to embarrass them.
Right.
And so if you're coming with that mentality, then guess what's going to happen? You're going to actually have a game being played hard because nobody wants to be embarrassed.
Yeah, I think national pride, U.S. World, or maybe some kind of mini thing where it's your nation that you're playing for. Something that just will make you a lot more invested and playing some defense, trying. It just seems like it needs to be done. I guess, and I wasn't aware of this, but. One of the main reasons it had this format was because the NBA and Adam Silver sat down with Steph Curry and a few others because they're going into Golden State, going into the Warriors' home city, and I think Steph thought of this idea. Did you see the pregame stuff when Draymond gave his opinion on what he thought of the format?
Yeah, he basically, if you think about it, he threw Steph under the bus and said that, he's just like, so I know that my boy came up with this idea, garbage. Like literally, that's what he just said.
Yeah,
Oh,
yeah.
garbage.
He said
Hot garbage.
Steph's a great guy at many things, but he's not an ideas man. And he said, I don't want to see these rising stars on the court on Sunday against the All-Stars. They have no business to be even anywhere near the friggin' court. And it was good. It was good that finally somebody, said their true feelings and said, what is this Rising Stars team doing in an NBA All-Star game? Because they picked 24 of the best, and suddenly you got 8 of these guys that are nowhere near All-Stars yet. And so it was just kind of like, this is a weird deal. This is a strange format and very, very bizarre. But it ended up going the way you and I talked about it. When I told you the teams that Shaq and Chuck and Kenny had picked, you said, and so did I, said, oh, Shaq looks like has the best team, and Charles' team, second best. And that was the final, and that's what it ended up. The OGs from Shaq ended up winning the game. Steph Curry ended up getting MVP, but it threw out the possibility of records being set because the score was only up to 40 short little games. It took a lot of juice out of it for me in so many areas. And when I watched that Rising Stars, I mean, they played pretty competitively the game they played, but it was just like, yeah, you're right. Like Draymond, I don't want to see these guys on a court. I want to see the 24 greatest NBA players this year being there, not these guys that just aren't there yet.
Yeah, but why are those guys there, Draymond? Why are they there? I'll answer that question for you.
Because the players didn't play full out. Yeah.
Exactly, because the players aren't playing. So they're going to get these guys to say, let's see if they can inspire their competitive juices to get them going. Right. That's why they're there.
Yeah.
That's why they're there.
Exactly. Yeah. Did you watch or just see the highlights of the Saturday night skills competition?
I saw the highlights, but the one thing I did see, where my friend was actually here beside me, we did watch the dunk competition.
Nice. Good to see Mac McClung being the first guy ever to do a three-peat there.
First off, I loved it because let's be honest, because of that guy is the reason why the dunk competition has been saved.
Yeah.
I think personally, this is what I actually believe. I really do believe this. Give that guy an NBA contract, man. Please. Yeah. Even if you think that he doesn't deserve it, but I believe he does. I've looked at his G League stats. I think he's good enough to be in the league.
Yeah.
For the mere fact that he's actually rescued the dunk competition for the last 3 years, give him a contract, man.
Yeah.
Give him a contract.
Yeah. Maybe he just can't make that Orlando team because they just have too many young depth players and players at his position. So I think it's time to, put him on waivers and give him an opportunity to go out there. I'm sure there's a team that could use him. The athleticism that he's got, the hops that he's got, the amount of eyeballs that'll be on the team because he's there. I think he's better than Bronny, and Bronny's getting a chance. Maybe in Orlando they've got such a young squad. They've got all these players they're developing already. Maybe he just doesn't fit there. He's under contract to them in the G League, but I think he has an opportunity. He won G League Player of the Year last year. I think, there's a ton of talent in that league to win the, MVP of that league. He's pretty damn legit as an NBA player.
Exactly. Like he has the talent. So let him go somewhere so he can show what he's got, right? Because we've seen it in the dunking realm, and it's just absolutely amazing. The other thing I wanted to say about him was the fact that he completed all his dunks on the first try.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah.
First try.
I don't think a guy should get another chance. Like, you missed your dunk. Oh, well, you missed your dunk. Like, over and over and over, watching a guy try to complete it 4, 5, 6 chances, it seems kind of stupid to me. And I don't actually think that back in the day, guys were missing them at all. Like, I think that's just a kind of a new thing. And he didn't miss any. I love the dunk over the car. I love that, that double ball dunk where the guy's on the ladder, the guy's on the hoverboard spinning around, and he had the wherewithal to grab the one ball, and then he switched it to his hand, was able to get the first ball in and the second ball in. Like, holy cow, that's creative, and that's amazing that you could do that in the air, be able to think that well, be able to get both balls going in. Like, you know, he deserved those 50s, and he deserved winning it again for sure.
Oh yeah, man. Like, he, by far and away, he deserved to win it.
Yeah.
By far and away, he's like the champ, and it's like, you're gonna have to knock the champ off. None of those guys were coming even close. Like, Castle was good, but he missed.
Yeah.
And then here's the difference. That dude didn't miss.
Yeah.
Didn't miss.
Some people said, oh, Castle deserved a lot of praise because he didn't use props, didn't use people. He just did dunks on his own. But, you know, he was missing a ton of them. It took him 3, 4, 5 opportunities to actually, you know, sink the ball finally. And, you know, his athleticism and dunks were pretty good, but they were nothing to the creativity and the spectacular show that Mac McClung was putting on. So, yeah, it was in a different stratosphere, and I think McClung deserved it. And I hope we get to see him in the NBA, and I hope a team gets an opportunity to showcase him and have him on their team for the rest of the year. This was also the 25th anniversary of the Vince Carter dunk contest victory, and that was spectacular in itself because they had missed 2 years of the All-Star game before that and didn't have the dunk competition. He was able to actually resurrect it and really put himself on the global map, as well as, you know, become that NBA superstar. And it changed Canada basketball, in my opinion. It suddenly vaulted us to, you know, to watch Toronto was must-see TV, and almost every one of the NBA's players that are from Canada point to him as the reason why they thought, hey, I can do this, I can make the NBA, and they wanted to because of Vince.
Yeah, absolutely. They wanted to because of Vince, and also too, back then when we had the dunk competition, there was just more people that wanted to do it.
Yeah, true.
Now, that's the one thing that's the other thing that really stood out to me. 4 competitors. That's it.
Yeah.
Like I understand
and none of them are stars. None of them are you know, the top guys. And so yeah, it's really lost the quality as well as the quantity. And you know, so if Mac McClung doesn't come around, you know, we might be saying, let's just ditch it, get rid of it altogether.
Yep. And I get it. I understand why a lot of the NBA players are like, I don't know if I want to do it, because we've all seen that you got guys that are not in the league that can do incredible dunks, and those guys can't do those dunks that those professional dunkers are doing. Yeah. And I understand that, where they're just like, I don't want to do it because I don't want to be embarrassed, or I don't want to have to go through what those guys did. Or I'm going for a dunk and I just can't get the dunk down. Right. So I get it.
Yeah, I get it. Yeah. And you don't want to get hurt and, you know, that kind of thing. So I understand. What did you think about the trying to circumvent the rules that Chris Paul and Wembanyama went through? And, you know, they saw that the only thing that mattered was the time that you crossed the finish line in your skills competition. So instead of shooting, they just got rid of the balls out of the racks and ran around and were told that they were disqualified. I guess they didn't read the fine print, thought they were be able to circumvent the rules. A lot of people are up in arms about this, but I thought it was kind of ingenious that they thought of it. I guess maybe they didn't read the rules, but they got DQ'd anyway.
First off, that's not Wembanyama. That's all Chris Paul. Right. Chris Paul is just like, I think I got an idea. I think I know what to do to get around all of this stuff. So I applaud it that Chris Paul tried a tactic. Yeah. It didn't work, but I applaud it. And so I think the NBA going forward is like, sorry, Chris, you can't be in any of the skills competitions.
He's done. That's
you're
it.
Done. You're done.
Yeah. permanently banned, DQ'd for life, Chris Paul.
DQ'd for life. We can't trust you to do it, so we're just not going to have you do it.
Yeah, that was hilarious. I was like, what is he doing here? Oh man, that's pretty ingenious. That's good thinking. And then they came and they said, nope, you're done. You're out. And that's it. He would look like he was a stubborn little kid having a temper tantrum on the sideline there. He was really mad that they DQ'd him. He thought he had won him over. It was hilarious.
Oh, I know. It was very funny because he thought it's just like, no, that was genius on my part. How could I possibly DQ'd? It's like, well, you actually didn't do what we needed you to do. So yeah, no.
And finally, Tyler Hero winning the 3-point competition. He was the last guy actually picked in the draft that they had between Chuck, Charles, and Shaq and Kenny, and he was the very last guy drafted off the board. But really had a great Saturday night, beating the 2-time defending champion Damian Lillard and being able to get the trophy raised. Pretty wild. He's not great on the mic, but he sure is good with his shooting. And now that Jimmy freaking Butler's out of there, he's become one of those guys that you could probably see in this All-Star game for many, many, many years to come.
Yeah, like this was his breakout year.
Yeah.
And what was part of the problem why there was friction, because aging superstar, new up-and-comer.
Yeah.
There has to be a change in changing the guard, and it happened the way it did. I think Tyler Hero is going to have an excellent career going forward from this. I think he can only go up. And the fact that he won against Damian Lillard, they'll probably be competing with each other for the next couple of years, going back and forth in the 3-point competition.
Big news today in the world of basketball. MJ said he's coming back. He's making a yet another comeback. No. It's his birthday today. Guess how old he is?
58?
Good guess, but he's actually 62, amazingly enough. Wow. I didn't actually realize, I forgot that he was that old, much older than me.
Yeah.
I absolutely love watching him play. Had the pleasure of interviewing him. Just being able to witness his career and what he did. I'm glad that there was a lot of people reached out to him today. A ton of action on Twitter and all over social media. How he is still the GOAT, was the GOAT, always will be the GOAT. And 62. I was kind of blown away when I saw that today.
Yeah. Well, I was close. I didn't think he was 60 yet.
Yeah.
But
I thought he was. I actually still thought he wasn't 60 yet. So I didn't realize he was that much older than us. So, but all the GMs are really, really pissed off at the Mavs at GM and really wanting to somehow sink the Mavs somehow. There's been a lot of talk on what they're going to do to try to get at them. Well, the police ended up going and arresting one of their assistant coaches yesterday. Daryl Armstrong is being charged with assault with a deadly weapon, suspended by the Mavs, and big trouble ahead for him. I knew things were going to be heading bad their way, but I did not expect to see assault with a deadly weapon. A gun was utilized in a beatdown. Look out, Mavs. Maybe this is another step closer to moving to Vegas.
Yeah, I guess, you know what? It's like, how can we blow up the team to ensure that we get this team out of here? Well, if you're going to do stuff like that, that's a step in the right direction. Anyway, okay, but in all honesty, what was that in regards to? Like, was that a domestic or something?
Yeah.
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 That's too bad. That's too bad.
Crazy, eh? Crazy.
Yeah.
The other thing I wanted to notice about the weekend actually was there was a lot of breaks in the middle of games. A lot of guys said they were really worried about getting hurt because they got warm. Then all of a sudden they were sitting. Then they got warm again. They were sitting. There was a lot of breaks, conversations they were having, the broadcast crew. They had a concert in the middle with they had Too Short, Saweetie, In Vogue, They had a whole bunch of artists out there on the court. It was kind of really way too many stops and starts. And I think, somebody's not thinking when they have basketball players that, are making these 40, 50, $60 million contracts. You can't, have them the possibility of injuries when you're stopping and starting so much. I think that's something that they got to really address and make sure, because we want them competitive, but we want them coming home healthy for sure.
Well, yeah, of course, because you want your players, especially for the players for your team, to come back after the All-Star game and be able to play again, right?
Yeah.
Regular season into the playoffs.
Yeah.
So that's something that actually probably should be brought up by the Players Association, their union.
Yeah.
That should be brought up by the union to say,
Yeah.
all right, well, we can have all these things. We just have to condense like the playing portion to just the playing portion, and then everything else after they're done playing.
After point four, yeah.
Yeah.
The only other thing I want to mention about the All-Star is TNT will no longer be broadcasting All-Star games. This will be their last. 41 years they've been covering basketball. Kind of a tough to see because they do such a good job. They ended up handing all four of them. They ended up getting fishing gear. They got tackle boxes. They got life jackets. They got fishing rods. They get all that. They do that every year in the playoffs when the teams get knocked out, go fishing. It was kind of cool, a tribute to them. And I couldn't believe all the amazing videos that they put together showing all the great coverage that they've had over the years, all the funny moments, all the amazing times that they were there for All-Star Weekend. And it's going to be sorely missed. They're going to ESPN, so hopefully ESPN does as good of a job, but I just don't think they can. I think TNT has been just the best at ever putting basketball broadcasts together.
They're an institution.
Yeah.
And you know what? They've been doing it for 40 years. So they figured it out. They've unlocked. Yeah. They've unlocked it, so they know exactly how it's supposed to go. I hope ESPN does it a good service. I hope they do well. Yeah. But TNT has been the GOAT and will always be the GOAT as far as I'm concerned.
True. What do you think of Draymond declaring on the desk that the Warriors are going to win the championship this year?
Cool. I love your enthusiasm, Draymond. Moving on.
Yeah.
Yeah, man.
They sure have looked good with Jimmy Butler, though.
They look good with Jimmy. They look good with Jimmy.
They sure have looked good with Jimmy. Yeah. I wish they just would have got one more piece, one or two more pieces, and then I would have been really on board with Draymond. But yeah, it was good to see Draymond on the desk, giving his opinions and putting it out there, putting it out on the line that Warriors are going to win it all. I want to talk about the UFC in a second, but I want to mention a couple other things first. In the world of golf, we had the Genesis Invitational this past weekend, happened down in Torrey Pines, San Diego. This tournament was supposed to take place in LA, had to get shifted because of the fires. They raised almost $10 million for fire relief because of this tournament this weekend. Amazing to see. Tiger Woods has won on this course 8 times in his career and is the host of this tournament year after year in LA. He was supposed to tee it up and be there as the host as well, but because of his mother passing away the week before, he bowed out. He did show up, though, and was there to congratulate the winner, add to the broadcast on Sunday. Really nice to see him. He seems to have... he seems to be taking his mother's passing quite well. He made quite a few mentions of it, that she was his rock, and the person that was always there to help propel him to the great heights. Most people credit his father because his dad was a golfer, but he said, my mom always got up first thing in the morning and got me to the tournaments when dad was working. She was always writing down every putt I made, every green I hit, every single thing. And she was really, really, really hard on me, making sure I had to keep my grades up. I had to do my homework or I wasn't allowed to play, wasn't allowed to golf. She was, my rock. And You know, amazing to hear him being able to say such great things about her and tribute to her. I wish he would have been able to tee it up, but it's understandable. Losing her, he wasn't able to be there. But he shook the hand of the winner and was around the tournament on Sunday. So it was nice.
That's amazing that he was even there, to be honest with you. Like I'll give him a bunch of credit for that because, like, you know, when you go through something like that, losing a parent, regardless of your age or the age of your parents, it's super devastating.
Yeah.
Doesn't matter.
Yeah.
It's always going to be like that. And for the fact that he still made time to do all that, that's a credit to him.
Yeah, that's true. The tournament was won by the Swede Ludwig Aberg. He ended up pulling out a fantastic Sunday and ended up winning the tournament. It was his second tournament win on the PGA Tour. This is a guy that played on the Ryder Cup and President's Cup before he even had an opportunity to really play on the PGA Tour. 25 years old and looks like he's going to have an absolutely phenomenal career. Really, really, really good, solid player and gets the victory there. Scotty Scheffler made a Sunday run and was really looking good for most of the last round. But he had such a lousy Saturday that he was too far back to actually catch the leaders and win the tournament. But it's good to see him firing on all cylinders again, other than that one bad round on Saturday where it seemed like his putter eluded him and he was just not able to, you know, score very well. He had a great tournament and ended up finishing in a tie for second place. And Maverick McNeely was the guy that he tied with. You said you love that name. You think that's a real golfer name.
Yeah, no, it is. It reminds me of the Adam Sandler movie with Bob Barker. Happy Gilmore.
Happy Gilmore.
Yeah, so that's the kind of name that dude has.
Right.
He should be in one of those movies. He should be in a golf comedy going forward.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, for sure. McNeely shot a 64 yesterday, but just fell one shot shy of the victory. Um, who else? Oh, Patrick Rogers had the lead going into the final round and faltered on Sunday. It would have been great to see Patrick Rogers. I think he's had 218 starts on the PGA Tour, 0 wins. He actually tied a record that Tiger Woods had back as an amateur. He won 11 times as an amateur on the college circuit. Came out of the amateur ranks and everybody thought he was going to have a career like Tiger Woods had and has not been able to win since. It was awesome to see him up there. Faltered a little bit on Sunday, just didn't have the juice to get it done. It would have been incredible to see him and Tiger shaking hands on the course. They both went to the same school, Stanford University, and Patrick has never been able to live up to the hype he had as an amateur heading into the pros.
Sucks. It's disheartening that he wasn't able to do and live up to that. Yeah. But he still managed to carve himself out a pretty good career.
Yeah, definitely. Top Canadian was Nick Taylor. He was tied for 9th, 6 shots back of Aberg. Corey Connors was tied for 24, 10 shots back. They play the Mexico Championship this Thursday. Should be a fun tournament to watch. And in LIV Golf, Joaquin Niemann won the tournament down in Adelaide. The big water hole they have down there. Really fun, big party. Unfortunately, the Aussies didn't play as well as they had the year before. The Fireballs Golf Club ended up winning, led by Sergio Garcia, Abraham Answer. A lot of the Latin guys ended up winning. Answer was leading heading into the final round, led most of the day, faltered a little bit on the back nine, and Joaquin ended up passing him to win. Legion 13 with Captain John Rahm finished second, and Torque GC, Joaquin's team, ended up finishing third. The TGL had a triple header today. No tournament last week. Triple header today. Atlanta played LA first thing this morning. Atlanta played in the afternoon. They ended up playing the Bay Club team. And then the Bay ended up turning around and playing a doubleheader against Boston that's just going on right now. And Aberg, that won the tournament, is in there today playing. Justin Thomas, who just finished in, I think, 4th place. He was there. Most of the guys that were playing this weekend down in Torrey Pines in San Diego flew all the way across to Florida this week and were playing in the TGL today. It was pretty wild. I can't wait to watch a lot of it. I watched the Canada hockey game today, so I haven't been able to see a ton of it, but I look forward to watching it tonight. Should be a lot of fun, and amazing that all 6 teams were in action today.
Yeah, that is amazing. But it's also too, it's amazing that like the golfers that are in both are still committed and are doing both the way that they're doing it.
Yeah, very cool.
It's pretty
Very
impressive.
amazing. Yeah. Tomorrow is the deadline for the Blue Jays and Vladimir Guerrero to come to an agreement on a contract extension. Vladdy and his team, his agent, have set the deadline as the beginning of spring training camp, and that happens tomorrow for the Blue Jays and most of the Major League Baseball teams. This is expected to be north of $400 million in total value. Juan Soto's $765 million deal made the management of the Blue Jays choke on their food for the last month or two, and they hated seeing that kind of money thrown to Soto. But we'll see what happens. They've been lots of money apart for a very long time. I don't know if they can bridge the gap and get there. He'll be with the team this year. He's under contract. An arbitrator ruled that he's going to get paid $28.5 million for this season, but he will be a free agent by the end of the year if they don't sign the extension by tomorrow. So let's keep our eye on the ticker today, see if they can patch it up and come together and sign a long-term contract.
Hopefully he gets the money that he's asking for. But I'm very curious about like how much his team actually wants, and if the market for what they believe he's worth is actually what other teams in the MLB think he's worth as well.
Yeah. Well, most Major League Baseball teams that are competitive are built around these young superstars, and he's a young superstar. He's an amazing talent. He led the Blue Jays in most categories last year as a hitter. Had the best batting average, 323, best OPS at 940, most homers with 30 home runs, most RBIs, 103, and a 6.2 wins against replacement. And I think on the open market, he could be looking at $500 to $600 million. So I think in a way they might regret a long like a 10-year deal in the end, but these kind of guys don't come around very much. It's hard to convince a lot of players to come to the Blue Jays for some weird reason. They miss out on free agents all the time. We saw some big free agents go to other teams again this year. The Red Sox got better with Bregman. The Mets cut Soto. Yankees always seem to get a ton of free agents to come there. So in a way, you got to overpay a little bit. And, I don't know if building a team around him will bring them a World Series, but it will keep them competitive. It will, possibly, keep them up there, being able to attract other guys and maybe have an opportunity at the playoffs again soon. But yeah, it's a lot of money. So, obviously, they're taking their time making this huge decision.
No, and I understand that. I understand why they have to take their time, because it's such a huge investment. They want to make sure that they get it right.
Yeah. Actually, they were dealt a huge blow this week. They unfortunately were one of their pitchers, Adam Mako, when he was on the mound the other day, just throwing some bullpen. He ended up blowing out his knee. His left knee requires surgery, and looks like he's tore his meniscus and blew out his knee. Just in warm up, trying to get ready for spring training. So brutal. Their veteran pitcher that they signed in the offseason, Max Scherzer, who's a Hall of Famer, he said it's really dangerous for pitchers in early camp like this because you're not used to the motions, you're not used to your body going through this, and they are susceptible to injuries like this. And it sucks that before the season even starts, boom, he's gone.
Yeah, that does suck. That's not what you want to see as the Blue Jays organization, where a guy takes the mound and it's like, and there goes his knee, and there goes the season for him. Great.
Yeah. We're less than a week away. I think it's next Sunday, coming up this Saturday or Sunday when they play the Yankees, first game of spring training. So all you ball fans, I can't believe it's already spring training. It seems crazy. Most of Canada's still under snow blankets, and spring training's happening. I hope a lot of you, especially our people back in Ontario, are heading down to Florida or heading down to Arizona, seeing all the spring training games. It's a blast down there. I recommend it. Going down, you can see games. They're usually about $3 to $5 a piece to get into spring training games. If you want to go down and just see baseball, you could see 3-4 games in a day because all the teams in the parks are so close in proximity. It's an absolute blast. I recommend it. If you're a ball fan, it'll be a trip that you remember for years and decades to come.
Oh, definitely, man. Like if you have the wherewithal, if you can do it, if you can make it down, and especially it's super cost effective.
No.
It doesn't cost you an arm and a leg to go watch
they barely charge anything for the seat, so it's really good. Daytona 500. We don't talk about motorsports too often, but we do sometimes. Daytona 500 kicked off the NASCAR series yesterday. An amazing race. Unfortunately, they had a 3.5-hour rain delay, so I wasn't able to catch all the action, but I watched the end. They had a massive pile-up car wreck right at the end. It was pretty wild to watch, and cars were sliding on their tops going across the finish line. A guy ended up flipping about 4 or 5 times last year on the exact same end of the race. He flipped 10 times over, so not as bad this year as last year, but still had a pretty brutal crash. It was William Byron won for the second year in a row, second driver to repeat in the last 30 years. No driver has ever had a three-peat. Some of the most incredible drivers in history have won it 2 times in a row, but never three-peat. It was pretty wild. The biggest crowd they ever had, they said, full stands, like 150,000 people were there. It was pretty incredible. Pitbull did the pre-race concert, and Anthony Mackie, Captain America, said, "Gentlemen, start your engines." Pretty cool to see him there. And yeah, star-studded affair. So many celebrities, and it was a really, really, really fun race. A lot of wrecks, but great to see Byron end up getting that victory 2 years in a row.
No, that's great to see that he got the victory 2 years in a row. Better to hear that nobody got injured in any of the car wrecks, and everybody got home safe.
I sent you a text just before we connected on the time we were going to start today, and it was a little bit of a story on Yannick Sinner and the suspension that he received from the U.S. Tennis Federation and the Doping Association. He only gets a 3-month sentence for his second positive steroid result. And a lot of backlash that they can't believe that's all he got. He was able to play all the majors last year. This 3-month break is right in the middle. He won't miss any majors again this year. And it's pretty ridiculous that they think this is a deterrent for anybody else to break the rules and do steroids. Nick Kyrgios was quoted in that saying, "This is a sad, sad, sad day in the history of tennis that a guy can cheat and only get this low of a suspension that's not going to really affect his career at all."
Well, apparently, from the article I read a little bit about it, it was supposed to be originally 1 or 2 year ban.
Yeah.
But then it got reduced to the 3 months because they traced it to a cream that his massage therapist used, allegedly. Where I'm just like, that seems pretty weak.
Yeah.
Seems pretty.
That's what Barry Bonds was doing. Barry Bonds was putting cream all over him. It was steroids. He boom, falls on it.
Yeah, he put it especially on his head. That's why his head just blew up like that. Yeah.
Yeah. However you put it in your body, does it have to come through a needle? Like, it doesn't matter to me. Stick it in your butt, put it in your mouth, put it in your, wherever you're getting it in your body. Too bad. Like, just a
how about this? Even more to the point, as a professional athlete, you should know whatever you put on your body or in your body at all times. You know what the rules are, and you know you have to adhere to them. So if this guy's trying to get over and he's finding a way to get over and everybody else is seeing it, then something's got to change.
Something's definitely got to change. Yeah. Okay, let's get to the UFC. We had UFC Vegas 102 at the stinking Apex. Luckily, we don't have many of those Apex cards this year, but we had a pretty decent card. The main event was a phenomenal fight. I absolutely loved it because both guys are absolute killers. We had Jared, the Killer Gorilla Cannonier against Gregory Robocop Rodriguez. This was awesome. Rodriguez looked so friggin' tough and mean. Every single one of his shots in that early part of the first round sounded deadly. They were like guns going off, just the shots that he was landing. He knocked down Cannonier twice in that opening round and looked like it was just inevitable that he was going to get this victory over the 40-year-old Cannonier. And it was going to be the young buck being able to come in and knock off the old guard. And Cannonier weathered the storm and took it to him. You saw Rodriguez fading. You saw him getting tired. You saw him getting in, having a lot more troubles, and almost got knocked out in the end of the third round. He didn't recover, obviously, well enough heading into the fourth round, and it only took 21 seconds in the fourth round. Rodriguez had never been in a fourth round in his MMA career, and amazingly enough, Cannonier, with his veteran savvy, with his ability to withstand the early punishment, gets the victory, gets the knockout win, and one of the best wins he's ever had against a super, super, super tough guy.
Super tough guy. Like you said, he weathered the storm. The first round, it looked like Rodriguez had his number. Yeah. And if he didn't have his number, and I thought he almost had him out of there in the first round, he was definitely going to have him out of there in the second round. Yeah. I think Rodriguez realized, I couldn't get him out of the first round. I'm going to take it's almost like he took a step back and he took second round off so he could kind of have some win for the last couple of rounds.
Yeah.
Still didn't work out well for him because at the end of the day, Cannonier definitely was the fresher fighter as the fight wore on, and Rodriguez, his hands kept dipping lower and lower because he was getting more and more tired. Yeah. It was, for me, it just showed how tough Cannonier is and how durable he is.
Yeah.
Like, you're not going to be able just to blow him out of the water. Like, that's how tough he is. Yeah. And if you can't stay with him, you don't have your endurance, you don't have your win, he's going to beat you eventually, which is exactly what happened.
Yeah, really impressive. Super impressive that, he used his veteran savviness, and, the guys in that MMA lab that is his team are really incredible fighters. Really good that his corner was able to, get him reboot heading into that second round. He took over the fight after that first round, almost being knocked out. He's only one of two fighters in UFC history with knockouts in 3 different weight divisions. He has moved up in weight as he's got older. Conor McGregor's the only other guy to have wins and knockout wins in 3 different weight classes. I've watched the evolution of Cannonier, and I've been blown away. And I was a little bit concerned going in because I saw his 40 years old, and we don't see many 40-year-olds be able to withstand these young, super, super tough guys. that can knock you out with one punch. So, all props to Cannonier. Incredible win over, one of the toughest guys, just built like an absolute incredible. RoboCop is such an apt nickname for a guy that just looks like a physical specimen.
Looks like a physical specimen and was definitely the bigger man coming into that. But Cannonier, super impressive, got the win, stays in the top 10.
Yeah, kept his number 7 ranking and stayed there. They both got 50K for fight of the night, and I think it was well deserved. Hell of a good way to end that card. A lot of fun. The co-main event had a veteran also in it, in Calvin Kattar against Yusuf Zalal. Zalal had an early UFC career as a very young guy and then got cut. Had to go to the regional circuit, won 3 fights on the regional circuit and was able to return. Since he's returned, I cannot believe the difference in him and the way he seems to be able to fight and win now. The guy is so elusive. Floyd Mayweather to me was the greatest boxer. To me, he was the greatest boxer of his generation because he just never got hit. And when you can't hit a guy, how can you beat him? And Zalal really was so elusive, moved in, got his shots in, and then moved out and really had crazy movement. Kattar tried so hard to get at him. Finally did in that 3rd round, able to get a little bit at him, but it was too little too late. Zalal with a very impressive win with just knowing what was going to get him the victory, and he did so.
You know what Zalal had? Fast feet.
Yeah.
Fast feet, fast side-to-side movement. And he never stayed still. So that's why Kattar had a hard time trying to find him throughout the entirety of that fight. Yeah. Like, basically, he almost had to run at him consistently in the 3rd round for him to finally start landing shots. But by that time, it was too late.
Yeah.
Zalal was a great showing by him. And it just showed like how elusive he is and how hard he is to hit in the octagon.
Yeah, he is so hard, so tough. He's on a 7-fight win streak now. Now he's ranked number 10, and he called out Brian Ortega. Love to see that. Could be a good possibility. Also called out Michael Chiesa, and one of those would be amazing to see. He's going to be a problem if he can keep that movement, the side-to-side movement and in and out movement. All of it was just absolutely phenomenal. You're going to have to learn how to cut him off. I guess you're going to have to learn how to get him down. But if you cannot do either one of those things, I don't see him losing for a while.
No, you're going to be in for a long night if you can't do any one of those things. But I think the more important thing than anything else with him is just cutting off the octagon, shrinking it. You got to be very good to do that against him.
That Factory X team, man, so many incredible fighters coming out of there. Mark Montoya, their head coach, what a phenomenal coach. And look out, he's back, and he is going to be a problem for a ton of guys. The middleweight fight that happened right before that, we see Edmund Shabazian. I've told you many times that I was never a fan. Mostly I wasn't a fan because of his corner work, his gym, the people that he had representing him. I think he's moved on there and he looks a lot better. I hate his nickname, the Golden Boy. That's Oscar De La Hoya's always and always should have been. I don't know who would have ever given him that tag, and I don't think he deserves it yet. But this was a very impressive knockout victory. He gets the win and gets a 50K bonus for it. Probably the best I've ever seen him. He was supposed to beat Budka. Budka came in as a late replacement, but still Shabazian, I got to give him credit. He looked good.
He looked very good. He looked so good that this looked like a mismatch.
Yes.
That's how good he actually looked. And he caught Budka coming in with a nuclear right hand. He actually didn't need any more ground and pound to finish the job. He could have just walked away, but he wanted to make sure. So I know you appreciated that. It's like, you got to make sure, buddy. Go in there and give him a couple more hits.
Yeah, I did appreciate it. Yeah. Yeah, it didn't look like it was good enough to walk off. You needed to hit some
just need
ground
a couple
down
more
and
shots.
finish it off. Yeah. Yeah.
But
It was
very, very
impressive. A great win. The funny thing is also his brother
Mhm.
fights in a league called Tough Enough, and they fight in Vegas as well. They had their card on Friday night in Vegas, and his brother Leon got a TKO in the 4th round on Friday night. So the Shabazian brothers both celebrated in Vegas Friday and Saturday wins. Pretty cool.
That's actually very cool. Very cool that they both got wins.
This was at the Sahara Casino in Vegas. Tough Enough. It's called TNU. His brother Leon. Congratulations. Okay, they had 2 Bonfim brothers on this card. The 2 Bonfim brothers out of Brazil. The lightweight fight here. But Ismail ended up getting the loss here. This was translation problems again. And you and I have had this brought up many, many, many times. He said to the doctor and the referee at some point, I can't see. I think he said it to the ref, Mark Smith, at the beginning. They brought in the doctor and lost in translation. I think they think he said, I can't see it all. And they called off the fight. And he didn't answer it properly. They didn't ask the questions properly. They didn't have a translator in there. It was brutal, stupid, handled wrong. And another example of something that they got to get right. This isn't fair for a guy to be losing a fight where he said yes to something that they thought he was saying yes to something else. And it ended up costing him.
Yeah, because like I saw him nodding in the affirmative, which I thought was like, I'm ready to go.
Yeah.
But then I kept hearing, no, he can't see. And I'm like, why is he nodding yes? Like I didn't understand what was going on. And then, so the doctor, did he I thought I heard Portuguese come out of his mouth. No or yes? Like, cause that's what I thought I heard Portuguese there at some point in time when they were having the conversation. But at the same time, you have to have a translator come in there along with the doctor, along with the ref. Right. I absolutely agree with you because there's too much on the line. There's too much for these men to lose, these men and women. So if you don't have that, then you have a problem. And again, that's something that the UFC needs to address to make sure that the fighters have every wherewithal so that they can continue the fight.
Yeah. They bring in the translators. They've got them on hand. They've
right
got them there. They bring them in for the post-fight interviews, and they've got them there ready. They just have to bring them in, and they have to be able to translate back and forth. I just thought it was lost in translation, and I was mad. And immediately when they waved off the fight, Bonfim went down to the ground and clutched his face and was like, "What are you doing? Why did you call this off?" And he was upset. And obviously, you know, it's a tense moment. There's a lot of things being said to you. Remember, they called off the fight with Johnny Walker because they said, "Where are you?" And he said, "The desert." And they were like, "Oh, that's it. He's done." And it was in Abu Dhabi or something. He was
but he was right. He is in the desert.
Yeah, but they thought, oh, he's thinking he's in the desert instead of the cage. But so the translation issues are there, and even the doctor probably isn't, fully able to communicate properly if it's back and forth with the fighter and the translator and the doctor and the referee. I think we can have problems like this not crop up again. And this was a great fight. I was really looking forward to this fight. And Salikov won that first round, I thought, was good. But Bonfim, tough guy. I think he deserved it. It was, too bad that, he did say at some point in that corner between rounds that he couldn't see. But later on, I think he acknowledged, yes, I can see, and wasn't allowed to fight.
Yeah, they're gonna have to figure out a way to ensure that these miscommunications stop happening.
Yes,
like the UFC is gonna have to figure something out, and I think the solution's pretty easy.
Yeah.
You know, like
Should
just
be.
saying, these are the questions I need you to ask, so that's communicated directly.
Yeah.
Let's see what he has to say,
Yeah.
and let's go from there.
Yeah.
Perfect.
Definitely. Yeah. Check off this box, check off that
Yeah,
box,
that
check off
box.
that box.
All
Done.
right,
You
cool.
know, these are the 3 questions I need him to answer.
Answer.
Yeah.
That's it.
And
Yeah,
so
you can
that's
make
it.
it streamlined.
The Salikov had that gorgeous question mark kick, and he said he noticed it in their pre-scout watching the film. He said that he drops his hand, and there was that opportunity for that. I love the team that he trains with, Sierra Longo or Matt Serra at Ray Longo, and he said, "Hey man, I go against the toughest guys in this division every single solitary day with Aljamain Sterling and Merab Dvalishvili. I can handle anybody. Put me in against killers. I can handle them." And he's right. You know, he's some of the best fighters around, and yeah, pretty wild. Yeah, to get the win, but I really wish it would have went full. You know, the full fight opportunity to go a little longer than that.
No, it would have been great, because if there's one thing that we do know after what he said, is that he has the endurance and the stamina. Because if you got to fight against Merab Dvalishvili, you better.
Yeah, no
better have
kidding.
that.
Yeah, kidding. Okay, let's talk about the Andre Petrosky Rodolfo Rivera fight. Rivera was supposed to fight Jacob Malkoun. Petrosky ended up coming in as a late replacement, and these 2 guys are physical specimens as well. They're just so thick and solid, just 2 pit bulls. This was a hell of a great fight. I really enjoyed this fight, and I thought that Petrosky ended up taking it. I gave it to him. I gave him rounds 1 and 3, and this was a hell of a great battle back and forth. I really liked it a ton. It was great that Petrosky, on such short notice, was able to come in and put on a really good performance and get the win.
Yeah, he could put on a fantastic performance. I thought he might tire out, but obviously he was in fantastic shape.
Amazing shape. Yeah.
Amazing shape.
Yeah.
And then also too, Vieira, he couldn't get him down. Like his takedown defense.
The takedown defense was phenomenal. Amazing.
Amazing. Especially against a man of Vieira's talents. The fact that he couldn't take him down at all. And then that's what helped get him the win. And also too, he was just better on the feet. Better combinations.
I think he was, what was he? He was 1 for 11 on his takedown attempts. 1 for 11. So absolutely amazing that Petrosky is that good on takedown defense against a super tough Brazilian jiu-jitsu expert, a guy that's been there and done that for many years. And yeah, I loved it. We don't often see a guy that comes in on late replacement have so much stamina, so much ability to keep the fight standing, and want to sometimes, because you're tired. You know, sometimes you like laying down and taking a bit of a rest, but yeah, just that got him the victory for sure. He's on a 3-fight win streak, and he called out Bo Nickel, which I really love the call out. You know, Nickel is known for taking guys down, being that wrestler that's super elite. He's proved that you know, his takedown defense is that good, and he wants to test himself against one of these young bucks that's known for that.
That would be a great fight. I don't know if the UFC would give him that fight, because that's a danger to Bo Nickel. So,
right. True.
But it's a great fight though.
Yeah, fight. I love the call out. It was really good. Speaking of Bo, take a look for the Ariel Helwani interview Bo did on Bo's podcast. Really good insight into Helwani. Helwani talks about the reason why he's no longer friends with Dana White and in the inner circle of the UFC, and why he got fired, and many aspects of Helwani's career. Bo does a really good job doing the interview. I didn't know he would be so good at a podcast, but I watched it this weekend, and it's really good. Really good.
Oh, okay. Well, I'll definitely give it a shot.
Okay, we talked about the feature fight on the prelim going in, and I said I didn't want Angela Hill, Caitlin Souza to be that. Luckily, they replaced it with a really good fight between Connor Matthews and Jose Delgado. I was super happy that we got something that was going to be a fun fight. Ended up being a knockout win for Jose Miguel Delgado. And glad that it was the featured prelim.
I am glad too. Delgado looked fantastic. He looked very good. Landed that huge 1-2 with the nasty overhand right that dropped Matthews. Got the ground and pound finish. It was he looked fantastic.
Yeah, that shot just beautiful on the chin. Just
Perfect.
dropped him. Jumped on top of him. Landed some elbows and got the ground and pound knockout. Dan Murgliata had to jump in and get it. Amazing UFC debut. I don't know much about Delgado going into this, but Benson Henderson is his main head coach, and he's on a 6-fight win streak. Loved what Benson Henderson brought to the octagon. If he can bring and get Delgado to similar type of fighting style, he'll be really, really fun to watch.
No, he'll be fantastic to watch. And it was just good to see Benson Henderson again. I hadn't seen him for a long, long time.
Yeah.
Still looks the same, just a little bit more gray. That's
yeah. And the other cool thing is even Jared Cannonier shouted him out after his fight, after his victory on the post-fight comments. He said it was so good to see Jose getting his win. He's a teammate, and he finally got a UFC opportunity and got the win. Really big for that team, having 2 huge wins on the night.
Yeah, no, it's great to see. Great to see that Cannonier was taking up for his guy, taking up for his teammate, and was happy for his win.
Yeah. The fight between Angela Hill and Caitlin Souza, it was pretty good. It was okay. Angela Hill is limited in her ability to get knockouts, but she does put on pretty exciting fights. I thought maybe Souza actually should have got the nod on the decision, and I had her winning 29-28 on my card, but the split decision went to Hill. Hill has been involved in 6 split decisions, and that was her first ever win by split decision. So, finally the scale ended up on her side for once. She has 18-14, and in the UFC, I don't know. I think she's about 500. But finally she gets the win. I thought Souza won it, but it was super close fight.
That was a very close fight. I thought Hill won the first round.
Yeah.
Souza probably the second, and the third one was the toss up, right? So
yeah.
And it was competitive. It was very, very close. I thought Hill kind of got the nod on the stand up for the most part. Definitely when it went to the ground, but yeah, it was a very, very close fight. And it almost felt like to me that they gave Hill the nod because of all the close ones that she's lost.
Yeah, it could have happened. Could have been. Yeah. 5 split decisions, and you come out on the wrong end of all of them. That's tough. So finally she gets their hand raised. Good for her.
Yeah.
Okay, let's briefly talk about the Rafael Estevam against Jesus Aguilar. Estevam ends up getting a 29-28 ×3 decision, still undefeated, and getting the win. This was a really good fight. I had Estevam actually. I thought he actually won the first and the third round. Had Aguilar winning the middle rounds. So yeah, it was a pretty decent fight.
That was a very good fight, very grappling heavy fight that I thought that Estevam got the better of Aguilar for the most part within the grappling.
Right. That's true. Yep. Okay. Ismail's brother, Gabriel Bonfim, fought Chaos Kalen Williams. Chaos came in on short notice too, and Bonfim ended up getting the victory there. He got $50K for his submission victory. Um, it was seconds away from the end of the round,
Yeah.
and Herb Dean was trying to circle in and take a look and see. And finally, when he grabbed on to Aguilar's arm, no, to Chaos's arm, it was limp. And when he pulled off, he was asleep. He was asleep, and
Mhm.
it was kind of crazy. I think it was it 2 seconds away? Yeah, it was two
Yeah.
seconds away from ending the round, but he had an early sleep, and Bonfim gets the win.
No, it was impressive. Like the first round was like I was super impressed with the first round because like those two went at it.
Yeah.
In the second round, when he managed to get him down to get that dart stroke sunk in, I was like, like I thought to myself, he doesn't have a lot of time. I don't know if he has enough time to really get it in
Yeah.
and get what he needs done. But then once I saw Herb team pull him off and Chaos was out cold,
Yeah.
I'm like, wow, okay,
Yeah.
done. And I
Yeah, that
know that
was
again, you
yeah,
were happy with that.
he's obviously super tough to get that
Oh
choke
yeah,
and finish it that way. It didn't look like it was a perfect technique from the
no,
way their bodies were, but man, amazing. It was a nice comeback. I thought that yeah, it was pretty damn great. Bonfim he's finished 16 of his 17 wins, and that was coming off his first ever loss. So really nice that he was able to get the win. He had a short camp too. It was only about three and a half weeks. So good to see him. One of the Bonfims ended up leaving the octagon happy on
yeah,
Saturday with a 50K bonus for the submission win. Okay, Elijah Smith comes in. UFC debut. Son of a UFC fighter, Gilbert Smith, comes in through the Dana White Contender Series, only 22 years old, finally getting his opportunity, and he ends up getting the decision victory over Vince Morales. It was a really nice UFC debut, and great to see. Yeah, a new guy that's coming in. Really had an opportunity to sink in that rear naked choke with the clock ticking. Almost finished it early, but got his hands raised after the judges' scorecards.
yeah. No, he did. I thought he was great at the counterattacks. The counters were fantastic. You could see off of Morales' face just how effective and how accurate he was.
Yeah.
At the same time, Morales did have a good showing himself. At one point in time, he threatened with something I haven't seen for a long time, Japanese necktie. He
Yeah.
like he almost
Peruvian.
had that
Sometimes
locked
they
up.
call it Peruvian. Yeah.
The
Yeah.
Peruvian, yeah. So
Yeah.
like it was close, man. So but I thought I was impressed. Smith got the win, uh, basically more from the counters than anything else.
True. True. Okay. I've got oh yeah, Dontel Mays and Walter Walker comes in. It's incredible to see Johnny's brother in there. Really still a young guy, 27 years old. But these two guys are both super tough. Walter, he's there's only been 5 heel hook victories in the history of the heavyweight division in the UFC, and Walter has 2 heel hook wins. He was able to get an immediate takedown, got top control, rolled in for a heel hook, and ended up forcing Lord Kong to tap. Um, don't see too many guys at heavyweight go for submissions so quickly and early. I think he'll be a problem for a lot of tough heavyweights if he can keep with this type of game plan and getting a nice heel hook victory again.
Yeah, yeah, man. Because like not a lot of the heavyweights are very good at their jujitsu, but this guy is exceptional. So
Yeah.
if you go down to the ground with him, you better be prepared.
Yeah. Just imagine being in the Walker household as a young guy. Like
Yeah.
they would have had wars, those two.
Oh,
Him and Johnny, those are big boys, man. Big boys.
those are big human beings, and that's a lot of wrecked stuff in the house.
He asked for a bonus to help his wife stop working, but wasn't able to get one. So his wife will have to be at work today, unfortunately. But Walter wants to fight every 3 months. hopefully UFC makes it come true. Love to see him fight. That was too short of a time. We want to see more of him.
No, definitely, definitely.
Okay, talk about the Jacqueline Cavalcante and Julia Avila fight. Cavalcante really just, I thought she looked phenomenal. Really, it was just a rinse and repeat, all 3 rounds, the same kickboxing fight. Cavalcante was outstriking her, great movement, just battled and beat her. Avila tried for takedowns, couldn't get it, couldn't beat her in the stand-up, and it ended up being her retirement fight.
Yeah, yeah, and I you know what? I think it should have been a retirement fight because Cavalcante just beat her at in every position,
Yeah.
especially in the stand-up. And sometimes where it's probably time, and I think for Avilia, I think she knew that this is no time to go.
It's kind of crazy that this match was made because it was a mismatch, I thought.
Yep.
I didn't like I didn't like it, but Avila was 12, Cavalcante was 13 going in, so the UFC saw something. This was the first time Avila was ever actually a betting underdog, which was bizarre to me, but this was a total mismatch. Cavalcante is moving up, Avila is moving down. Avila just said, that's it, I'm retired. Has decided to hang him up. And it looked like it was time. There was a few more retirements this past week. Bill Algeo and Joe Salicki, so 3 MMA fighters in the UFC, all hung it up. She wants to concentrate on being a mom. She just had a kid about a year ago. 6 UFC appearances. Did well, made herself a ranked fighter, but it was time to say that's it, done.
No, time to hang him up. Time to hang him up for sure.
Jared Gordon was the most unfortunate guy of the weekend. Had 2 different opponents fall off for him and was unable to fight. Still showed up, made weight, got his show bonus, and will fight again another day. We have UFC Seattle coming up this coming Saturday. We haven't seen the Octagon in Seattle for over a decade. Jason was there last time. What are your best memories of UFC Seattle last time it was here?
Oh, last time it was there, my best memories was the fact that it didn't cost me an arm and a leg to get a ticket at that point in time. And we had great seats and the fights were fantastic. They were really, really good fights. So
Do you remember who headlined, who was some of the top fighters on the card? Do you remember?
I've been to Seattle like 3 different times, so no, I can't remember exactly who the headliner was.
Okay. Well, this week we've got former 2-time champion. They call him actually Triple C because he was an Olympic champion as well as a champion in the UFC on a couple of occasions. He comes in number 7 ranked in the Bantamweight division against number 8 ranked Song Yadong. Cejudo is 38 years old, and I think that's one of the reasons why this might be the last we see of him. He has lost his last 2 fights against really tough guys, and the teammates I mentioned a little earlier, Aljamain Sterling and Merab Dvalishvili, and he took about a 3-year break after retiring once. He was on a 6-fight win streak before those last 2 losses, so has had an incredibly decorated career. But Song Yadong comes in much younger, maybe knocks off Triple C and sends him into retirement.
Yeah, I think so. I think Henry Cejudo is going to have his hands full with Song Yadong because Song Yadong has heavy hands and he can knock you out. He has the potential to do that. I think Henry Cejudo will probably want to mix and match his striking with his offensive wrestling because I think his best chance to beat Song Yadong is on the ground, not on the feet.
Yeah. Song is actually 10-3 in the UFC, 21-8 overall. The Kung Fu Kid, they call him. His last fight, he lost to Peter Yan. That was back in March of 2024, UFC 299. He's had 9 knockouts and 3 submissions in his career, and he's beat some really, really tough guys. Marlon Chito Vera, Marlon Moraes, Ricky Simone, and Chris Gutierrez, among others. And he's only 27. Very, very, very decorated. 29 fights at 27 years old. Very impressive. Been in there in a ton of wars. This should be a great fight. We'll see if Triple C is able to still bring it, and as at an advanced age and off of last two losses.
Yeah, I think he'll still be able to put on a very, very entertaining fight. But again, I agree with you. Like this, he's getting close to retiring permanently this time.
The co-main event should be a hell of a banger. It should be the fight of the night, in my opinion. This is actually a rematch. These guys fought back in LFA, and Hernandez ended up winning by decision back in 2018. Then they both ended up making it into the UFC right after. Brendan Allen comes in number 9 ranked, 24-6 in his MMA career. Lost to Nasruddin Imavov last time out, but was on a 7-fight win streak before that, so no big deal. He had beat a ton of killers before that. Chris Curtis, Paul Craig, Jacob Malkoon, Bruno Silva, and he's 13-3 in his UFC career. So absolute killer, really talented fighter. Anthony Fluffy Hernandez comes in at number 12 ranked, 13-2 in his UFC career. He's on a 6-fight win streak. His last victory was against Michel Pereira, knocked him out back in 2024 of October 2024. He's beat Roman Kopylov, Marc-Andre Powerbar Barrio, who else? Rodolfo Vieira, who just fought on this card, 7-2 on this card. Both guys are really super talented. This should be a hell of a fight, trying to get or stay or get into that top 10 ranking on the middleweight division.
Yeah, no, I'm very much looking forward to this fight. I believe that this will be the best fight on the main card by far and away. Both men have a lot to gain and a lot to lose. And if Hernandez can beat Allen, I think that catapults him right into the top 10, doesn't it?
Yeah. I'm looking forward to seeing Rob Font fight Gene Matsumoto. Font was actually supposed to fight Dominic Cruz on this card. Cruz ended up blowing out his shoulder, dislocating his shoulder, and retiring. So there's Matsumoto is a late replacement, but Matsumoto is a undefeated fighter, 16-0 coming in. 2 really impressive performances in his UFC career already. And Font did win his last time out, but has had an up and down career in the recent past. So should be a hell of a great battle between these two guys.
It's a huge step up in competition for Matsumoto. So we're going to see if he's actually ready for it. Because if he's ready for it, if he can take on Rob Font, then he's ready for the upper echelon of that weight division.
This fight has been pretty decimated this fight card has been pretty decimated with injuries. They've lost Edson Barbosa, Steve Garcia. Curtis Blades was supposed to fight as well. He's gone. As I mentioned, Dominic Cruz isn't fighting. I love Alonzo Menefield. They start off the main card. Should be a great battle there. Andre Touchy-Feely is in the featured prelim fight. And we've got some other good fights on the card. But yeah, should be a good battle. I'm sad that they lost a bunch of fighters off this card due to injury, because some of those guys would have been really fun to see live.
Yeah, it would have been great. Would have been actually made the card that much better, but injuries happen.
It's an earlier card than normal. 3 o'clock the prelims start, and then 6 o'clock for main card. So typically they're about an hour or two later than that. Main card usually starts at 7 o'clock local time, 6 o'clock Pacific, 9 o'clock Eastern time. But great to see them back down in the Emerald City, back down in Seattle. Wish we could be there, but not the case. But we'll be front and center watching, I'm sure, and we'll break it down next Monday.
Yep, looking forward to that. Looking forward to breaking it down for sure.
Thanks, buddy. Appreciate it. Thanks for giving us some of your long weekend time. Enjoy the rest of your family day, and the rest of your evening. And yeah, I guess we will talk through the week.
All right, you betcha, man. You take it easy. Have a great evening.
Thursday, don't miss it. The game, Thursday, the hockey game. Watch it, watch it, watch it. Be a true Canadian.
I'll try. I'll try my best.
Okay,
Try my
buddy.
best.
Okay,
All right.
buddy.
See ya.
Cheers. Good night.
Bye.
Okay. All right. Thanks, everybody. Appreciate it as always. Thanks so much for your time, your patience, and your ability to stick through us through thick and thin. A couple hours bringing you a podcast. Yeah, I hope you had an awesome long weekend across Canada, and hopefully had a great weekend everywhere around the world you're tuning in from. Want to thank our partners and sponsors. Anchor.fm, easiest place to make a podcast. Just go there and do what Jason and I just did there. I want to thank Verbero, the hockey equipment and apparel company, industry leader in technology, performance, and value. And the V350 stick is a must-have for everyone in the hockey world in your midst. I want to thank Pampas and Possibilities, creators of really beautiful West Coast vibes, West Coast decor for your home. Get them in there and they can spruce it up, make it look awesome. And last but not least, Forever Living, the aloe vera company for health and beauty products. You can find some of those on our website at discounted rates. So love you guys lots. Thanks so much again. As always, we appreciate your support and your questions, comments, and all that kind of stuff. So take care of yourself. We'll see you a week from now. Take care. Bye for now.